Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another video. What we're going to be doing today is we'll be breaking down and predicting our Week 6 NFL games for the 2024 football season. We're going to go over every game for our Week 6 matchups and try to predict the outcome, who's going to win, who's going to lose, and we'll also touch on the money lines, the spreads, and the over-unders. This is our early predictions video for this week's football game. Make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe. If you have any comments about these games or anything else, drop them below and I will respond. Every week we go over every single NFL game, and we also do the same thing for every single college football game, the entire college football season. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed so you can follow along with us. So this is our early predictions video. Obviously, Week 5 is wrapping up. The Monday night game has not happened as of right now. Cowboys-Steelers just ended, but it's never too early to start looking at next week's matchups. The first 5 weeks have been crazy, especially with upsets. Lots of upsets so far this season. But let's go ahead and get started running through these Week 6 matchups. The very first one we have kicking things off is, of course, our Amazon Prime game at 8:15 p.m. on Prime. We have the 2 and 3 San Francisco 49ers. Who would have thought the 49ers would be 2 and 3 right after they just went to the Super Bowl? They are banged up, but they have a lot of things to work on. They'll be playing the 3 and 2 Seattle Seahawks, both teams coming off of losses. As of right now, San Francisco has a 62.8% chance to win this game. They are 3.5-point favorites here. The over-under is 47.5. San Francisco, like I mentioned, extremely great team, but unfortunately very banged up right now. They have probably the number 1 overall roster when they're fully healthy. They have Purdy, they have Mason, Jennings, Kittle, Ayuk, Debo, McCaffrey. They have position skill talent at every single position, and they have a great defense. Last season, a top 3 offense as well as a top 3 defense, and they went to the Super Bowl. Purdy's been playing pretty well with the injuries, but they're coming off of a pretty sloppy loss right now. They had some turnovers, and their defense has not lived up to the expectations of last season. They are averaging 25.2 per game. They're giving up 21.2. For Seattle, right now they started out 3-0. They're now riding a 2-game losing streak. They don't want to drop to 500. They don't want to lose that momentum. And the 49ers, they don't want to drop to 2-4 after a Super Bowl appearance. They want to try to get back to the Super Bowl. Seattle, they're averaging 24.4. They're giving up 22.8. Geno Smith is having a really good season so far. They have Walker, one of the best running backs when he's fully healthy. Charbonnet, DK Metcalf. They can beat you multiple ways. This game's probably going to be close. It is in Seattle. San Francisco's been pretty sloppy. Seattle's been pretty sloppy. I could see this game going either way. It's practically 50-50, but I'm going to go with San Francisco getting back in the win column, winning this one 23-20. The next matchup, we're now moving on to our Sunday games, and this one is going to be our London matchup at 9:30 a.m. all the way across the world on the other side at 9:30. We have the 1-4 Jacksonville Jaguars. They finally got their first win of the season. Props to them. They'll be playing the 3-2 Chicago Bears. I did pick both of these teams to win, so I was not surprised that they both won in Week 5. The Jags showed much improvement on the offensive line. Trevor Lawrence actually had his best game passing. He had like 370 yards passing. Props to him. Props to the Jags, although that defense did play pretty bad. They got the win. That's all that matters. As of right now, the Bears have a 57% chance to win this game. They are 2-point favorites. The over-under here is 42.5. For Jacksonville, they're averaging 19.4. They're giving up 28.6. They have one of the worst 5 defenses in the NFL. That's going to hold them back because the offense has not been great. Yes, they played great versus the Colts, but for the most part, they've been pretty bad, and that defense is not helping out at all. When you're forced into being down 2 scores, you're forced into having to pass the ball late. That does not help this team. For Chicago, since their Week 1 performance, Caleb Williams had 93 passing yards. I said back then he's going to get better every single week. He's gotten better every single week since Week 1, just like I said, and his passing has gotten a lot better. Due to the offensive line holding up a little better, he was the most sacked, most pressured quarterback to start the year, but they are playing a lot better overall as a team. They're averaging 22.6. They're giving up 17. The great thing for Caleb Williams is the Bears actually have a pretty decent defense, so he can rely on that. They can lean on that. They have Caleb Williams, Swift, Moore, Odunze. They have the playmakers. I have the Bears winning this one at home, 23-17. This next matchup at 1 p.m. on Fox, we have the Arizona Cardinals 2-3 coming off of a major win. They'll be playing the 3-2 Green Bay Packers, also coming off a win. This is two of our great young quarterbacks. The Packers have a 63.6% chance to win this game. They are 5.5-point favorites. The over-under here is 49.5. So we have Kyler Murray versus Jordan Love. Two strong-armed, mobile quarterbacks. I said last week Kyler Murray was due to have a great performance, and he definitely did. From the jump, he had that 50-yard rushing touchdown. Jordan Love, he's been banged up. He had a decent game. He had a pretty bad turnover. But for the most part, Packers are a well-rounded team. As of right now, the Cardinals can score on anyone. They're averaging 24 points a game. They're throwing for 182. They're running for 156.4. The main issue is their pass defense. They're not getting much pressure on opposing quarterbacks, and they're giving up 25.8 points a game. For Green Bay, very good offense. They're averaging 25.6. That's a top 10 offense. They have 228 passing yards per game, 165 rushing yards per game. Very balanced, and they're giving up 21.6 points on the defensive side. For Arizona, they're very well-rounded. They have Murray, Connor, Harrison Jr. having a great rookie season. And on the other side, for Green Bay, they have Love, they have Jacobs, they have Reed. They have great skill position players. They have a good defense. They're at home. Sloppy game in Week 5. Look for them to sort that out. But I'm going to go with the Cardinals continuing their offensive juggernaut, pulling the upset here, winning this one 26-23. And our next matchup at 1 p.m. on CBS, the 2-3 Colts coming off of that shootout loss versus the Jags. They'll be playing the 1-3 Tennessee Titans, who are coming off a bye week. Thankfully, they'll be fully rested, but they were pretty bad prior to the bye week. As of right now, this game is practically 50-50. The Colts have a 50.1% chance to win this game. They are 1-point favorites. The over-under is 42.5. So the Colts are pretty banged up. They were down Anthony Richardson, although I have not been high on him since he came out of UF, but he has shown some flashes. They were also down Jonathan Taylor. That's a major loss. The guy can run it, and the guy can catch it out the backfield. Whether they come back or not, Flacco showed even without their best players on the team, this guy can light it up. Threw for well over 300 yards. Right now, the Colts, they average 23.8. They are giving up 24.4. And Tennessee, they have a lot of offensive issues, mainly due to the decisions of their quarterback, Will Levis. They're averaging 19.8. They're giving up 22.5. They have a lot of very close losses this season, but they have Levis, Pollard, Ridley. They have some skilled players, especially Ridley, but Levis has to do better spreading the ball out. Colts convinced me, though. Flacco's going to throw all up and down the field on people. That's his specialty. He might be 40, but he still has a great arm. I have the Colts winning this one 27-16. Then at 1 p.m. on CBS, the 4-1 Texans coming off of that really close win versus the Bills. Props to them. That was a good game. They'll be playing the 1-4 Patriots, riding a 4-game losing streak, getting so bad they actually lost to a Tua-less Dolphins. That's pretty bad. As of right now, the Texans have a 66.1% chance to win this game. They are 7-point favorites. Pretty big spread for an NFL game. The over-under here is 38.5. When you're looking at the Texans, obviously, this team is going to be led by Stroud. He is one of the best young quarterbacks in the NFL, closing in on 1,400 yards, 7 touchdowns, 3 picks. They're averaging 20.4 points a game, very pass-heavy. They're throwing for 272.4 yards per game, running for 104.2, and they're giving up 22.8 on the defensive side. And then for New England, their issue is they have practically no offense. They have one of the worst, if not the worst, offense in the NFL. They're bottom 3 right now. They're averaging 12.4 points a game. They're only throwing for 119.4. So pretty much whether it is Jacoby Brissett or whether it's Drake May, none of them can get first downs vertically through the air. Very run-heavy focused team with Stevenson, but they still have a good defense considering the fact that they're on the field the whole game. They're only giving up 20.4 points a game. But the Texans have the skill talent. They have Stroud. They have Mixon when healthy. They have Collins. They have Diggs. And on the other side, pretty much outside of Stevenson, your next player is probably Henry. They need someone else to step up, but they need a lot better quarterback play. I have the Texans continuing to roll here, winning this one 24-16. Then our next matchup at 1 p.m. on Fox, we have the 3-2 Tampa Bay Buccaneers coming off of that close loss to Atlanta. They'll be playing the 2-2 New Orleans Saints coming off the bye, should be fully rested. As of right now, the Saints have the edge, 56.7% chance to win this game. They are 2.5-point favorites. The over-under here is 45.5. The Buccaneers showed in that loss to Atlanta, when they need to, they can score points in bunches. As of right now, Baker Mayfield following up last season with another great season. He's almost 1,200 yards, 11 touchdowns, only 2 picks so far. They're averaging 25.4 points a game. They're giving up 22.4 points a game. Their strength on defense is their run defense. So they're going to look to try to shut down the Saints running game and force them to beat them vertically through the air. The Saints were probably the hottest team through the first 2 weeks. They were averaging 45.5 points a game. Since then, not so much. They have to get things back on track. They have to try to recapture that momentum they had the first 2 weeks. But they're still putting up good stats. This is a good roster on paper. They are scoring 31.8 points a game. They're giving up 17.5. They have Carr. They have Kamara having a great season. They have Olave. Like I said, a good team on paper. But Tampa Bay showed they can score. They have Baker Mayfield. They have Irving, Godwin, Evans, a very deep, experienced veteran wide receiver core. I could see the Saints getting back on track. Like I said, the Monday night game has not happened as of yet, so we'll see how they play versus the Chiefs. But as of right now, I have the Bucs winning this one in a close one, 24-20. Then our next matchup at 1 p.m. on Fox, the 1-4 Cleveland Browns. Outside of that win versus the Jags, they've been pretty awful. They'll be playing the 2-2 Eagles coming off the bye week, should be rested. As of right now, the Eagles have a 68.4% chance to win this game. They are 8.5-point favorites. I hate these massive spread NFL games. And there is a 43.5 over-under. And looking at the Browns, they're only averaging 15.8 points a game. Deshaun Watson has been awful this season. He's not the same player he was 4 to 5 seasons ago. Obviously, he had all the off-the-field stuff. That's still going on. That keeps creeping up. More and more stuff keep popping up. And he's not backing it up with his play on the field. He's been bad. He cannot accurately throw past 5 yards. Like I said, they're only averaging 15.8 points a game. Their defense is a top 10 defense, but they're on the field the whole game. Thus, they're giving up 24.2. And the Eagles, a extremely deep offensive roster. They've had turnover issues since the second half of last season. But no one can deny how quickly this team can score when they're on. They are averaging 21 points a game. They're giving up 24. Looking at the Browns, they have Watson, Ford, Judy, Cooper. The players are there. They just need better play from the quarterback position. And they don't have Flacco to come save the day this season. On the other side, Hurts, Saquon Barkley's probably have the best rushing season in the NFL this season. They have Goddard. They have Smith. They have Brown. When they're fully healthy, if they can get a lot of guys back for week 6, this team should be able to roll here. I have them rolling versus pretty much a toothless Browns. I have them winning this one 27-14. The next game is the game of the weekend to me at 1 p.m. on CBS. The 4-1 Washington Commanders. What a turnaround from last season. 4-1. They'll be playing the 3-2 Baltimore Ravens, who are rolling right now on both sides of the ball. Right now, the Ravens, 6.5-point favorites here. The over-under is 49.5, and the Ravens have a 64.4% chance to win this game. With them being 6.5-point favorites, that's a pretty good spread for two teams that have two of the best offenses in the NFL with two of the best quarterbacks. Lamar Jackson is basically putting up MVP caliber numbers for the third time. He's running, throwing, but Daniels is the rookie of the year so far, following in his footsteps, throwing the ball, running the ball. Washington right now, they're averaging 31 points a game. They're throwing for 214.2. They're running for 178.4. Very balanced, and their defense is giving up 23 points a game. The Ravens last season had a top 5 offense. They had a top 5 defense. Their defense isn't performing as well so far this season, but when it comes crunch time, they've really stepped up, but their offense is picking up right where they left off last season. So last year, they were the number 1 rushing team in the NFL. What they do the offseason, they added Derrick Henry to the number 1 rushing team in the NFL, so they're even better. Right now, they're averaging 29.4 per game. They're giving up 25.2, but they're throwing for 236.4. They're running for 211.2. This is an elite offense that can beat you multiple ways. Looking at Washington, they have Terry, they have Brian Robinson Jr., they have Daniels, and the Ravens. They have Lamar Jackson, who's a multiple tool weapon, basically. They have Derrick Henry closing in on 600 rushing yards. They have Flowers, Andrews likely. This game could go either way, could come down to the final possession, could be a lot of points. I have the experienced veteran Ravens winning this one 28-24. Then at 4:05 p.m. on CBS, the 2-2 LA Chargers coming off the bye should be rested. Herbert was banged up the last 2 weeks, so he should be closer to 100%. They'll be playing the 3-2 Denver Broncos, riding a 3-game winning streak. First 2 weeks, they looked awful. Bo Nix looked awful, but props to Sean Payton, props to Bo Nix. They're playing within their strengths right now, and they're getting great performance out of their defense. Right now, though, the Chargers have the edge. They are 56.6% chance to win this game. 2.5-point favorites. Over-unders 36.5. This game has all of the buildup to be a lower scoring game. Obviously, Justin Herbert has not been asked to do too much this season. Harbaugh's keeping the ball on the ground, playing physical, playing great special teams, playing great defense. But at least they know if they need points, they have a quarterback who can go for 350 any day. On the other side, Bo Nix, I wouldn't say is capable of getting into a shootout right now. They have a very dink and dunk offense, but it's been working for them so far, and they have the defense that they can rely on. Right now, the Chargers, they're averaging 17 points a game. They're only giving up 12.5 points a game. That's a top 5 defense. And Denver, they average 19.2, and they're only giving up 14.6, another top 5 defense. These teams are very well-rounded on that side. This game could be a defensive slog, trench-deciding game. For the Chargers, they have Herbert, they have Dobbins, they have Ladd, and for Denver, they have Nix, Williams, Sutton. I have the Chargers winning this one in a really close one. Denver's run has to end. 3-game winning streak. I don't have it getting to 4. I have the Chargers winning this one 23-17. Then at 4:05 p.m. on CBS, the 3-2 Pittsburgh Steelers coming off of that loss versus the Cowboys. I think I had the Cowboys winning that one 20-17, so things worked out there. They'll be playing the 2-3 Raiders. As of right now, the Steelers have a 57.5% chance to win this game. Props to the Steelers. This is not a bad team. This is a playoff caliber team based off of their defense, but they're the Vegas underdogs right here. So the Raiders have a 3.5-point spread favorite here. The over-under is 43.5. The Raiders, they got up 10-0, and they never scored again. They got curb stomped after that. We need to see much improvement from the defense of the Raiders. Looking at these two squads, for the Steelers, first off, keep Justin Fields as your starting quarterback. Do not put Russell Wilson in. Fields has the higher ceiling at this point of Russell Wilson's career. They're averaging 18.8, but this is a Mike Tomlin team. They're going to play defense. They're going to build the team around the defense. They're only giving up 13.3. That's a top 5 defense. As long as you have a top 5 defense, that defense is going to travel on the road, will come with you to Las Vegas. So they're bringing it to a Raiders team who's not really moving the ball well right now. They're only averaging 19.2 points a game. They're giving up 26.2. That's going to work wonders for the Steelers. They need some easy scores here. The Raiders will provide that, and they don't really have the offensive skill talent. They have Gardner Minshew, who's kind of 50-50. He can light it up. He can throw a lot of picks. They have White. They have Bowers. They don't have Adams. Adams is probably not going to suit up again for the Raiders. He might even be traded by the time that we get to this game. On the other side, they have Fields, Harris, Pickens, but they have the Mike Tomlin defense. I have the Steelers winning this one in a physical game, 20-17. Then at 4:25 p.m. on Fox, the 3-1 Detroit Lions coming off the bye. They'll be playing the 3-2 Cowboys who are coming off that close win versus Pittsburgh. As of right now, the Lions a 58% chance to win this game. 3-point favorites, over/under is 50.5. For the Lions, this is a team that where they left off last season, this is a Super Bowl deep playoff run caliber team. They had a top 10 offense last season, a top 10 defense. They did pick up where they left off last year. Goff, though, not having the season that he had last year so far, but they are still averaging 26 points a game. They're giving up 20.5. And for Dallas, their offense is not what it was last season, but the defense is definitely not. Yes, they played well versus the Steelers, but the Steelers don't have a juggernaut offense. As of right now, Dallas, they average 24.3 points a game, but only 75.3 rushing yards per game. That is pathetic. That used to be this team's strength, was the running game, the offensive line. That's not the case right now. We need to get a lot more yardage on the ground out of Dowdle. This season has to play a lot better. And they're giving up 26 points a game. They used to have a great defense, a top 5 defense. Not so much right now. Mike McCarthy, you got to figure something out on the defensive side and in the running game. But Detroit is loaded. They have Goff, they have Gibbs, they have Montgomery, they have Williams, they have St. Brown. They can beat you multiple ways, and they play defense. Very good team, but they're going to Dallas. It's hard to beat the Cowboys in Jerry World. They have Prescott, Dowdle, CeeDee Lamb, but I have to think that the Lions want some revenge for that game from last season. I have the Lions taking this one on the road, 27-24. Then the next matchup we're going to be looking at is at 4:25 p.m. on Fox. We have the Atlanta Falcons 3-2 coming off of that shootout win versus the Buccaneers. They'll be playing the 1-4 Carolina Panthers. The Panthers last season were the worst team in the NFL. Surprise, surprise, this season they're probably still the worst team in the NFL. The Falcons have a 60.5% chance to win this game. 5.5-point favorites here. The over-under is 42.5. Since game one, I did say the Falcons are going to get better every single week. The reason that is because this was a new scheme, new team for Kirk Cousins. He didn't play much last season because he got hurt. He just had to knock the rust off. He's been getting better. He went off this past week. We know the guy can sling it. He's getting more comfortable. And this is a loaded roster with a good line, with a solid defense. For the Panthers, obviously Bryce Young getting played. They have Dalton stepping up. He's better than Bryce Young as of right now, but their defense is just awful. Looking at the two squads, we have the Falcons. They average 22.2 points a game. They give up 23 points a game. For the Panthers, they average 16.6, but their defense worst in the NFL. They're giving up 33 points per game. They will be playing a loaded Falcons offensive roster. There's going to be a lot of opportunities for them to get some garbage time points here and really light things up. You have Cousins, Bijan Robinson, you have Algiers, London, Pitts. This team is loaded at every position on the offensive side. For the Panthers, there's Dalton, Hubbard, who is actually having a really good season so far, and they have Johnson. I have the Falcons winning this one rather easily, taking this one 30-17. The next game we're looking at 8:20 p.m. on NBC. This is our Sunday night game. We have the 1-4 Cincinnati Bengals. They had the win. They gave it up. The Bengals are 1-4. What a bad start to the season. They need to get a win here. Thankfully for them, they are playing the Giants, who, yes, they are 2-3. They got a win in week 5. The Bengals should be able to beat the Giants, you would think. But they did lose week 1 to the Patriots, so you never know. As of right now, the Bengals, a 62.3% chance to win this game. They are the favorites, 3.5-point favorites. The over-under here is 44.5. The Bengals, there's not much to say here. Burrow, since his awful week 1, he's been lighting it up through the air, closing on 1,400 yards, 12 touchdowns, 2 picks. They're averaging 28 points a game. They can score, but their defense is giving up 29 points a game. Their defense should not be that bad. And their offense is scoring, which means that the defense doesn't even have to be on the field that much. So a lot of issues to sort out there. For the Giants, they were pretty shorthanded this week, and they got a convincing win. They were down Singletary. They were down Neighbors. They still won the game. They're averaging 17.8. They're only giving up 20.8. For the Bengals, this is also a really good roster. Burrow, Brown, Chase, Higgins, multiple weapons, but the defense is giving up too many games. You shouldn't lose games 35-38. That's a joke. They should be able to pull out those massive wins. You don't usually see shootouts like that in the NFL. On the other side, Jones, Singletary, Neighbors, if he's back, he's an elite wide receiver, a bright future, obviously a elite number 1 weapon. I have to go with the Bengals pulling this one out. They should win it 24-20. And our final game of week 6, the Monday night game on ESPN at 8:15. We have the 3-2 Buffalo Bills riding a 2-game losing streak. They cannot afford to drop down to 500. They'll be playing the 2-3 New York Jets, who they can't afford to drop the 2-4, especially with the money they poured into their roster. As of right now, the Bills have a 54.6% chance to win this game. They are 2.5-point favorites. The over-under here is 46.5. Both teams have banged up quarterbacks from week 5. Who's going to be the healthiest? As of right now, obviously, we know who the Bills are. They were probably looking like the best team through the first 3 weeks in the NFL. Josh Allen closing in on 1,000 yards. He still has no interceptions. That's a massive accomplishment for Josh Allen because he is a gunslinging quarterback. Right now, they have a really good offense. They're averaging 28.4. They're throwing for 182. They're running for 118. And their defense is giving up 21.2. For the Jets, the offense is giving up they are scoring 18.6 points a game. Still a really good defense. They've always had a top 10 defense. They're only giving up 17 points a game, but Rodgers had about as bad of a week 5 as he could have had. For the Bills, they have Josh Allen, they have Cook, they have Shakir, they have Coleman. So even though they lost Diggs, even though they lost a lot of defensive players, through that first 3-4 weeks, it actually looked like they got better this season. They've taken a step back. I don't know what they were doing that last possession of this past game. That was pretty bad play calling there, and Josh Allen should know better. They lost the game. That's their fault, but they definitely need to get things back on track here. And on the other side, you have Rodgers, you have Breece Hall, who can run, catch. You have Wilson, Lazard. I have the Bills getting back in the win column, moving to 4-2, winning this one 24-20. But this is an in-state game. This one could go either way. So that's our breakdown. That's our early predictions for Week 6 of the NFL football season. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed. If you have any comments on these games or anything else, drop them below, and I will always respond. Thank you.